Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. We're talking about intermittent fasting today. So, fasting and fiber are two of the things that we can do to help our health. We're going to go over it all and hopefully give you some answers and help you understand why it's so important. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, here's the thing. I love to help people, but I am not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I'm just a regular person who's gone on this journey to do some research and figure out why I got so much better when all of those doctors, nutritionists, sports guys couldn't help me. And they tried, but they weren't able to. So now I've been finding out the information and I'm sharing it with you guys so that you can live healthier, happier, more productive lives and start to understand this whole big mess that is our health today. So I'm Misha and I'm here to help you. Welcome in. Welcome, Beth, Stacy, Joyce. Good to see you guys this morning. We are going to talk about intermittent fasting. If you guys have questions or like concerns about fasting, like there's some people who are told that intermittent fasting can't work for people with Hashimoto's. Girls shouldn't intermittent fast. All of this stuff. We're going to break some of that down, but I really want to dive into the benefits of intermittent fasting, and I'm going to show you the system that I did that's helping me with intermittent fasting, even though I thought that I had so much uncontrolled hunger that I could never intermittent fast. So, and intermittent fasting has absolutely changed the game for me. Look, you guys, before I dive in, we're built for this. We are not built to be fed all the time like we're being done now. In fact, that being fed all the time, that eating every 2 hours is making us sicker and causing more disease than just about anything else that I can think of today. So we need to fast a little bit to keep our metabolism in order. And I'm going to break all of that down and explain why. Along the way, please ask questions. Good morning, Jenny. I see you. Hey, Zoe. Good morning. Good morning. I got you. I said it good morning before you were able to type it in. It's so good to see you this morning. So, Janice, Nikki, welcome in. Let's start talking about intermittent fasting. How many of you have heard of intermittent fasting, but you're terrified? Like, I just couldn't do that. Either tap the good morning, Dale, tap the hearts, or give me a one if that's you. If like you've heard all these benefits, you know that intermittent fasting could help you, but in the back of your head, you're just like, I'm so food addicted. There's no way I could ever go that long without eating. Let me know if that's you, because that was definitely me. My son, who is a brilliant young man, I'm going to pat myself on the back, raised a brilliant young man, has spent a lot of time in college and learning. And we have discussions about calories in, calories out, intermittent fasting, all this stuff all the time. Our conversations are not, um, basic conversations. Conversations with that boy challenge me every time. But he talked to me about intermittent fasting years ago. And I was like, yeah, the benefits sound amazing. And I should really try that. And then I would try it and I would fail. And then I would try it and I would fail because I just couldn't get rid of the food noise and get into the fasting part that was going to give me the benefits. And I was frustrated and I was embarrassed. And I knew that I should do it, but I couldn't. So you guys, we're here for this right now. I want to explain to you why intermittent fasting is so good, why it's such an integral part of my day now. In fact, right now I am fasted for 3 and 12, 15 hours. Okay. So I'm not hungry. If I was hungry, I would start drinking my tea or I would have a balance. And I'm going to explain what those are in a second. But first, let's dive into intermittent fasting. I want to talk about insulin resistance and why intermittent fasting is the key or one of the keys, right? So let's break down insulin resistance super quick. If you need more information on insulin resistance, just make a comment and let me know that, hey, slow down. I need to understand this piece more. And I certainly will. Love when people ask questions. All right. Insulin resistance is very simple. We're eating too much sugar. We're eating it too often. And all of our foods, our lifestyle are creating this system. When we have too much sugar in our bloodstream, more than about 1 teaspoon of glucose in our bloodstream, our body starts to go, ooh, we got to get this out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Glucose is energy, but in the bloodstream, it makes your blood thick and sticky, and we start having problems. So we got to get it out of there and into the cells. So we start to produce this hormone called insulin from the pancreas. And that hormone's job is to transport that energy to the cells so that we can actually get it in the cells. Because the sugar just doesn't go, oh, here's a cell, I need it. It has a transport system, and that's insulin. So now every time we eat and we're raising our sugar, we're raising insulin, and that's fine. But when we're doing it all the time, day in, day out, good morning, D. Durham, um, we start to have chronically elevated levels of insulin. Those chronically elevated levels of insulin over time become insulin resistant because now the cells are being inundated by this cue from insulin to give them energy. Some of the cells are getting sick and they just won't take in more because they got to heal up. Some of the cells are like, oop, I've had enough, not taking in more. Some cells just go on about their business. Some cells take up too much, but all of that array of things is insulin resistance. Predominantly, cells are being resistant to getting in energy from excess insulin. This causes a problem because even though we need the energy, we just can't get it into the cells. So the biggest clue is not more insulin, it's getting the insulin levels down so our body will respond to them again. So I haven't used this analogy in a while, but think about, like, I live in a condo. So and I'm surrounded by the most lovely little ladies who are my age or older. There's a bunch of younger families here too. But so imagine one of them brings me over stuff and says, "Welcome to the neighborhood, and let's have some time together." Great, come on in. Let's talk. But imagine that instead of these wonderful little ladies who are just coming over once in a while, the place is filled with college students running rampant in the halls, knocking on all the doors, causing chaos. Nobody would open their doors. And that's kind of what our cells are doing with insulin. They're inundated. They're like, danger, I don't want you. I'm not opening the door. I'm going to hide alone. And as a result, they're suffering because they're not getting the energy they need. We end up with all of this stuff. So I'm going to talk about the system that I use to help me with that, but intermittent fasting is key in all of this. And I'm going to explain why right about now. So what do I use? So we're going to talk about the system in just a second. I do 3 drinks. It's actually 2 different drinks. I do a tea in the morning and I do a tea in the afternoon. And I'm going to explain why this works. And then I have a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat. And they're just replacing nutrients that we're missing and helping my metabolism get back to normal. That's the whole goal of this. It's real food. It's not medications that you have to be on or any crazy strict thing. You'll see all kinds of things like carnivore or vegan or whatever, and some of them are great. And if you can do that, fine. But if you can't, or you don't feel like you can, and you need a place to start that's realistic, this is where we are. Okay. So, all right, so let's get into intermittent fasting. It's super important because we now know that eating constantly is constantly raising our insulin. Every time we eat, unless it's fats, we're rising our insulin levels. And that means we're starting to head into that chronically high elevated insulin resistance. And then later on, that insulin resistance becomes prediabetes and then diabetes and then a whole host of other issues. So we want to stop it in its tracks. We want to understand the root cause, and fasting is going to help us with that because fasting helps us reduce the need for insulin, which allows our cells to become more responsive to the insulin when we do eat. So we got to give it a rest. It's like hopping in your car and putting the gas pedal to the floor every time you're in the car. You're going to burn through that gas. And if you have your other foot on the brake, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to utilize all that gas and it's going to start to break your car down. We're pretty similar. Okay. So we need to have times where we're up and ready to run and we have all the energy we need. But guess what? You don't have to eat to get that energy. Because if you're like most of us, we have something on our body called fat stores, right? That gives us energy when we're in a fasted state. No, you're not burning muscle when you're in intermittent fasting state. It's not happening. It's a lie. It's a fallacy that's being told. Your body is way smarter than that. When you intermittent fast, your body's going to prioritize energy sources cells that are old and dying, cells that are toxic, some places where there's inflammation or oxidation, your fat cells, it's going to utilize all of that to convert it to energy before it ever even looks at your muscle, because your muscle is keeping you healthy. Your body's not that dumb. Start treating it like it is smart, and stop acting like your body doesn't know what to do. Your body just doesn't know what to do in the environment we've given it today, with the foods we're eating and the way we're eating, and it's caused us to be sick. So now we're going to slow down and we're going to say, wait, body, I trust you, and I want to give you the tools that you need to act right. Okay? That's all we're doing. We're allowing our body to do what it's meant to do, instead of crushing it underneath the weight of all of this dysfunction that we're having with our food and the way we eat. Okay? Intermittent fasting is important. But why is it so important? There's a number of things that happen with intermittent fasting, and some of them are going to be things like you have better cellular turnover. You start to produce human growth hormone, which is helping those cells start to replicate and be healthy again. You're starting to have ketones be put out, and those ketones are telling you to burn that fat for fuel. So, in a fasted state, we're not reliant on glucose from food. We're getting energy by burning up fat stores. But guess what? We can't get to those fat stores as long as insulin is present in our system. We've got to get insulin down, because insulin is what we call anabolic. It wants things to grow. So it's going to feed our system. And what we can't get into the cells, it's going to store it as fat. So it's going to encourage fat storage, and insulin's going to stop fat breakdown, because insulin's like this big guard. Like, I've been working so hard to get all this energy in these cells and store it up so that you have it for later. You're not going to burn it up while I'm out, because I just did all this work. That's insulin. You can't break down fat while you have high levels of insulin in your body. So we've got to get the insulin levels down. Now, the component hormone called glucagon comes out. And interestingly enough, glucagon's real job is to raise our sugar levels or our glucose levels back up, because in a fasted state, we're not getting glucose from the food we're eating. So now glucagon, which is there to raise our glucose levels, is going and scavenging through all these cells to get us the energy we need. Now we're burning fat to get that energy. Now we're utilizing some of these damaged cells to get that energy. Now we're using a whole different form of energy. So, like your body is a hybrid car, it can work on sugar, it can work on fats. But in today's world, we're mostly living on sugar, and now we're starting to have a breakdown. Like, we're just not built to run on sugar all the time, and we're starting to break down because of it. We have to learn to allow our bodies to get into this fat burning state where insulin isn't playing the bully role anymore. It's just doing its job, and glucagon is also doing its job. By the way, that reminds me, I like to call insulin a bully when it's out of control. When we're in an insulin resistant state, it's out of control, and it's regulating other hormones like leptin, ghrelin, cortisol, thyroid hormones, especially thyroid stimulating hormone. It's affecting how the thyroid stimulating hormone creates T4, which then gets converted into the usable T3. It messes with all of that. It messes with your androgens and estrogens. It can completely put your body in disarray when it's out of control. And that's insulin resistance. So intermittent fasting allows us to get insulin levels down and allow glucagon to come out, the scavenger to come out and start to burn up all of this stuff. Think of things like cancer and inflammation and oxidation and tissues that are responding to all of that threat by breaking down. They're just overwhelmed. Intermittent fasting is going to help with all of this. Now, in a timeline, let's go over the timeline of what happens to your body during fasting. Then we're going to talk about the benefits of what fasting does for you. So, because all of it's super important, and the whole goal is to get you guys to understand why there's such talk about intermittent fasting, why it's such a big thing for us, and why it's actually helping our metabolism, and why it's really necessary for human beings to have this unfed state where we can actually access some of these tissues that we need to and create better health. Okay, so fasting. I said I'm about 15 hours fasted. So I think it was about 5:30, maybe close to 6 o'clock when I ate last night. And that means that In about 2 hours from that, at about 6 o'clock, 2 hours later, 8 o'clock. Now, blood sugars are spiking. It's our body's breaking down the food. It takes that time between when we eat to when it starts to go through the stomach and be broken down and shoved into the small intestine where it can start to get the sugar out to the body. That takes about 2 hours. So now you have a spike in glucose, creating this need for insulin about 2 hours after you eat. At about 4 hours, insulin is now grabbing that energy and delivering it to the cells where it can, right? So about 4 hours, your blood sugars start to stabilize. But in today's world, we're so insulin addicted that our insulin levels in a normal body, insulin levels should come down at about hour 8. For many of us who are insulin resistant, it could be 10, 12, 14 hours before the insulin levels come down. And our bodies just don't know what to do. So people get hangry, they get fatigue, and they get whatever because their body cannot switch yet between those sources of fuel. So they're experiencing some of these. Hey, Dr. Andre. So now, when we have a normal body, 2 hours blood sugar spikes, 4 hours blood sugar starts to normalize, about 8 hours before insulin goes, "Hey, they're not eating anymore. I don't need to be out. I don't need to be this bully. I don't need to guard all this. I can go rest now because they're not putting more food in their face." So now insulin levels start to come down, but that's at about 8 hours. So it takes a while for the insulin to go, "Okay, it's safe. I can rest." Now, about 2 hours after that happens, then your body starts to go, "Hey, there's no more food in, insulin's not out. We're experiencing a dip in energy. We need more energy out in the bloodstream for our cells." And so glucagon comes out and it starts to be a scavenger, pulling out all of those things I talked about to allow you to have energy. And so it's pulling fat out of the liver and converting these little glycogen stores, which are just packages of glucose. And it starts to break those down so that we can use it as energy. And your body does have a back door to get some of this energy in. It's not reliant on insulin in this state. Now, when you're highly insulin resistant, though, you could be highly glucagon resistant as well. And then that's a whole other problem. We can address that another time. But at about hour 10, this glucagon that's going to be the scavenger that's going to help you clean up comes out. But it takes a while. So now glucagon is out and it's sending its signal out. "Hey, I'm out. I finally get to come out and play. Let's do our job." Now, at about hour 12, you start to have a rise of human growth hormone. You start to have a rise of ketones. You start to be able to get those messengers out to tell you to start using fat for fuel. So now we're not in sugar burning mode anymore. We're in fat burning mode. But those cues start to go out, but it's at about hour 14 when that magic really starts to happen, when we have enough of the scavenging of cells going on that we can actually start to burn that fat for fuel. So between hours 14 and 16, you're in a fat burning state. And that's important because not only are you getting the weight off of you, the fat cells off of you, but you're starting to clean up some of that stuff called inflammation and oxidative stress. And those are really great for your liver, your heart, your kidneys, your lungs, your thyroid, your sex organs like your ovaries and your testes. All of this is benefited when we start to get the toxic cells out of them. So that's about 16 hours, right? Some people do a 24-hour fast. Let's talk real quick about that. There's been a lot of studies done, and the OMAD, the 24-hour fast, is effective for some people, but there's two forms of fasting that are even more effective, and one of them is the one I utilize every day, and that's the 16-8 fast, which is kind of what I just explained. So now we're in this fat burning state. So I have an 8-hour eating window that I try to eat my 2 meals in. And when I eat those 2 meals, what I'm doing is I'm focusing on fiber, protein, and fats. I want my body to get the building blocks it needs. I want it to get the energy it needs. And fats are not making you fat if you're eating the right kinds of fat and in the right amounts. So in the back of my head, I'm going calories in, calories out, because I just had this big discourse with my son over it. I don't know if we'll ever see eye to eye, but By the way, I had to say, so you're telling me because of your bachelor's degree, you're smarter than the doctors who are talking about how flawed calories in, calories out is. And he's stuck on the law of thermodynamics. That's fine. That's fine. But in the human body, much more is going on than just simply counting the calories. And I hope you kind of start to get that so you understand that reducing your calories is not the best thing. Understanding how the body uses them is what's going to help you. And that's where fasting comes in. So now, I fast for about 16 hours a day. Is it like, oh, 16 hours I got to eat? No. What I do is I aim for 16 hours. If I get really hungry at 15 and a half hours, I'm going to eat at 15 and a half hours. If I'm not hungry until 18 hours, I'm going to eat when my body says I'm hungry. And that's a key, you guys. This is not meant to be this this thing where you have to eat at 16 hours and you have to eat that meal and then you have to wait 8 hours to have another meal. No, you have an 8 hour window in which to get your nutrients in. But that doesn't mean snacking the whole time because we want to allow our body to get the energy. We want to allow it to rest and then we want to get more energy. And good morning, Liz. Love you so much. It's been so long. But you know what, Liz, I want to say this. I'm going to stop for a second. Liz, I saw pictures. I never got to meet you, but you were gorgeous when you were younger, but I have to tell you, every year you just get more beautiful. And I love seeing you on live or on your videos. So, all right. Good morning, grateful. Good morning. So, okay, now we're at that 16-8 fast. So we kind of understand, does everybody understand a little bit about the cycle of these hormones, insulin and glucagon, and what's happening when we fast? I hope that helps you a little bit. When you do an extended fast, which is the second form of fasting, that really helps. And this one is a 36 and 12 fast. And I've done that multiple times when I'm really trying to get something resolved with my health. And I'm probably going to dive into doing some 36 and 12 fasts when my grandson leaves and goes to Kentucky in a couple of weeks. I'm going to probably dive in and do 30 days of 36 hours fasted, 12 hours eating. And that's going to look a little different. But either way, those are probably the two best ways to fast right now, according to science, the 16-8 or the 36 and 12. I'll talk about the 36 and 12 another day if anybody's interested. It's a little more aggressive and not everyone's built for that right away. So let's start with that 16-8 fast and understand what's happening in your cells when you fast, okay? So let's go back to some of that fasting. Some people think I could never fast because I'm just so food addicted and there's just no way I could go without eating. The system that I talk about helps people with fasting. I've had so many people, but there's one lovely lady from Canada that just her message was just so crazy good. But she was convinced. She was like, Misha, I'm going to try the system. But I'm going to tell you, there's no way I can fast because I'm so food addicted that I just cannot fast. Day one, she texts me and says, what is in this stuff? It's 1 o'clock. I haven't even thought about food. I don't know how I got here. I would have never expected that I could go this long without food and still feel full of energy, have mental clarity, and be great all around. This is amazing. And today, she still does the system today. And it's like all of that food noise, all of that pressure of I'm so hungry and my energy is dipping and all that is gone for her once she implemented the system and fasting into her life. Her health has gotten better. Her A1C has gotten better. She's lost fat. She has more mental clarity, more energy, all from just these two simple things, fasting and fiber in her life. So let's dive into what fasting can actually do for you. So in your metabolic health, we already know now that insulin is a problem. We need to get insulin down. And we've already kind of covered how fasting helps your metabolism learn to switch between burning sugar and burning fat. And guess what? When we start to teach it that, it shifts more quickly and gets into that fasted state, that burning up junk cells state much easier. In the beginning, not so easy because your body's so used to having sugar for fuel. We're just getting it adapted to being able to switch over and use fat for fuel when we're fasting. So yes, it can take a while for some people to get used to that. And we're going to give you a solution in just a second. Okay. Good morning, Ben. It's so good to see you this morning. And Raymond. All right. So we talk about that, but Fasting. We all know, or most of you know, if you've followed me before, that I had hypertension, that it was 180 over 150 every single day, and the best we could get it to was 150 over 110. Between the system and fasting, my blood pressure is now 112 over 70 every single morning, and I'm not on any medications. So, cardiovascular health is some people have this idea that because you have a little rise of cortisol, you can have a little rise of cortisol when you're fasted, that it's damaging your heart because we've learned that high cortisol levels are creating heart problems. So some people are like, I can't fast. I have hypertension. I have a cardiovascular disease. I can't fast. Well, guess what? When we're in that fasted state, when we're using up those junk cells, we're cleaning up the heart too, and we're making the heart stronger. So, this is what's happening. Those lipid profiles are changing, allowing your blood flow to be more normal. So, you're having less of that cholesterol buildup in your bloodstream, and you're getting more vascular uh, normalcy. I've talked about hypertension before and all the like 5 ways that it causes is caused by insulin resistance. So fasting is helping us get that cardiovascular system cleaned up and working better. And it can actually strengthen your heart. It is not damaging for you if you have some kind of heart problem. Now, I'm going to say I'm not a doctor. Please talk to your doctor about it, but go in with the understanding that fasting can actually strengthen and help your heart by allowing you to lower those insulin levels, by allowing you to lower those LDL levels, by allowing your heart to actually get a relief and function more normally again. So now we're affecting cardiovascular vascular health. Some and with intermittent fasting, I've talked a lot about inflammation and oxidative stress. Those two things really affect the heart, and reducing them allows the heart to have better health as well. So then when we look at things like the liver, and one of the things I talk about, my son and I kind of disagree. I love him so much, and I love the conversations we have because it stretches me. He's a big fruit eater, and I'm not. He was taught that fruits and vegetables are the things he needs to eat, and so he struggles with weight. Sometimes he's in a really good state right now, but I don't like a lot of fruit in the diet. I like fruit as a treat. I like fruit as that sweet thing that we have once in a while, and I especially like pears and berries because thank you, Grateful. She says, "I'm amazing and so proud I'm saving the world in this way." And you guys, I'm gonna just pause for a second because Grateful, you just like some people know, some people don't. But I remember at about the age of 5, I grew up in North Idaho on a little small family farm out in the woods, and I used to sneak out in the morning. Like I'm old, I'm 60, I'm not old, but so 55 years ago, I'm sneaking out of the house, going in our garden, kneeling down in the wet dew of North Idaho, and praying that God allows me to go be helpful to people. So this has been a lifelong mission for me. You'll get set up on monthly here soon. It'll save you money, Grateful. So here's the thing. While we're talking about that, the system, if you do it on auto ship, honey, you can delay that. You can go in and just text me and I'll work with you through that. You can go into your account and you can set that date, reset the date for your shipment at any time. You can skip a month if you need to. You have control of that. It's not that it has to come out on the same day every month. It's just that you're getting it. But it's going to save you $10 off the system, and it's going to save you $10 to $15 in shipping. So that's about $20 to $25 a month you'll save just by getting it on auto ship and then managing it from there. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. Do I know if insulin resistance and phantom smells are related? Wow, that's a really good question. And I don't have a direct answer for that. My mind is going to work in the background thinking of all of these things that could happen, but I'm not going to speak on it just yet. Can you, Candace, will you allow me to have one day to do some research? And that would be a great topic to talk about tomorrow. So I'll come back and we'll talk about phantom smells and if there is a link to insulin resistance. So how about that? Let me screenshot this so I can remember to go tonight and do that research and make sure that I come back with an answer for you tomorrow. And thanks for the question because I like learning new stuff and have looked up most of the stuff that relates to me. So it's great to learn more stuff that could be linked or not. And if it doesn't, I'm going to tell you it doesn't. But if it does, we're going to explore that. All right, back to intermittent fasting. So liver health. When we're fasted, again, we're not putting more energy in. I was talking about fruit. Fruit. Why don't I like fruit? I do. But again, in moderation, because the fructose, the fruit sugar, the only place it can be metabolized is in your liver. And so excess of that energy from fruit gets directly stored in the liver. Now you're building fat up in the liver, and that excess fat can start to cause the liver to be sick and cause damage in the liver and have cirrhosis and all of these things going on inside the liver. So fruit is one thing. I love berries. I eat raspberries a lot. You guys have heard me talk about pears and how beneficial they are. Low on the glycemic scale, high in chlorogenic acids, amazing stuff. Okay. Oh, yeah. So you need to get serious about tackling your insulin resistance and food addiction. Candace, I wouldn't agree with you more because that's exactly where I was 3 years ago. And I was so sick. It was people don't even realize. When people see me, when people run into me out on the street today, and I'm like, 3 years ago I had a walker and a cane and disability plates, they're like, what? 3 years ago I couldn't walk up and down stairs. 3 years ago my blood pressure had me in fear of dying in my sleep. And they're like, what? Because I don't have that life anymore. And all I did was start to address my insulin resistance. So I'm going to encourage you to start taking care of it now. Whoever you are, wherever you're at, welcome in Janet and fabulous girl. You guys start taking care of your insulin resistance now so that you can stave off having all the damaging effects of like, I have heart problems. I have lost my gallbladder. I've lost 3 joints. All of that was related to insulin. And so intermittent fasting and these tools are helping me with that. All right. So liver health, we can actually start to impact our liver health by clearing out some of those glycogen stores, getting rid of some of the fat in the liver. And that's one of the first places that's going to start happening with intermittent fasting. It's going to actually start to grab that stuff from the liver and start to clear it out so that you have energy, but you're getting healthier. So Hashimoto's, another one that I've heard is thyroid patients shouldn't fast, right? And that's untrue. There was a limited study that said in a specific group of people, there was this issue with fasting. But overall, studies have shown that fasting actually, because it's helping with this inflammation and oxidation, and Hashimoto's is an inflammatory disease, it can actually start to impact that Hashimoto's by doing some intermittent fasting, by not continuing the inflammation and oxidation that's going on. So heart is getting better, liver is getting better, can help your thyroid function more properly when we're in a fasted state and cleaning all of this stuff up. Again, insulin messes with how thyroid stimulating hormone is produced. If you're not getting enough, you could be insulin resistant. But then, even if you have enough thyroid stimulating hormone, if it's not converting into creating this T4, and then even worse, when the T4, the ready state thyroid, is not converted into the usable state of thyroid called T3, which happens with insulin resistance, you could have enough TSH, not enough T4. You could have enough TSH and T4, but not converted into T3, the usable form, and now you have energy problems. Insulin impacts all of that. Fasting starts to help that normalize. So it actually is absolutely good for your thyroid. You just have some other parameters to go on around it, especially if you're on thyroid medications. Hint, clue, hint, hint, big hint coming. So if you have to have medications in the morning and you're like, I just can't fast because I have to have these medications at these points in the day. Do you know that fats like avocado, which are high in fiber and fats, or coconut oil or olives, do not increase your insulin? Only marginally, so marginally that some scientists are saying it doesn't really increase your insulin. So if you have to have food with medications, lean on the fats and skip the carbohydrates and the proteins, but have some fats with your medicine. It's going to get your gut coated so that you can deal with that medicine and you're going to remain in a fasted state. Those excess fats, by the way, help you cue now that your body is producing HGH and ketones. Having that ingestion, that little bit of fats like avocado with your medicine, is actually telling your body, hey, we're using fat for fuel. Let's go burn more fat for fuel. So it's not spiking your insulin, not shutting down the process, but allowing you to have your medications. Amazing, right? So, yeah, you can do it even if you're having medications that require you to eat. You just have to pay attention and know what nutrients you need to get in during the fasted portion of your day so that you can take those medications safely. All right. So, we want to talk about skin health. One of the things that's happened with my skin is I don't if you I can't expect you to do that because it's thousands of videos. 3 years ago, I started creating videos, and when I started losing weight, I had what I call the turkey neck. The skin really just hung down here, and people even commented on it in my videos. So how did this happen? How did this, like, there's some loose skin there? I'm 60, but how is that so much tighter now than it was 3 years ago? Because of intermittent fasting, getting my blood sugars under control, allowing my body to burn up excess cells. And as a result, my skin is firming up. Getting rid of the oxidation and inflammation means my skin looks healthier at 60 years old than I would have ever expected it to because I'm not running on sugar all the time. By the way, all that excess sugar, think things like lax skin and wrinkles and skin tags and dark skin patches. Is that the way you want your skin to look? No. Most of us want glowing, healthy, radiant skin. That means we've got to clean up the skin cells that need to go. We actually use them as energy, and it allows room for healthy new cells to replace them. Fasting allows us to do that. So your skin's going to start to look better too. Heart, liver, thyroid, skin, all getting better because of intermittent fasting. Now, there is some cellular repair process that's going on when you fast as well. And so that could be things like, um, yeah. So let me slow down. Let me slow down. We have some cellular repair going on. When we're in this state where we're burning fat for fuel, it's called, we get into a state where we call autophagy, and that's really the scavenger, cleaning up that stuff. I have vitiligo since 2019. Can intermittent fasting help reverse it? Vitiligo, that's another one. DD, let me write down a couple of things because I don't want to forget, and I will have ADHD pretty heavily. I will forget if I don't write it down, and now I'm looking for a tablet because I don't have one here. So I'm going to grab a random piece of paper, leave it on my desk, and we're going to go vitiligo and phantom smells. And we'll talk about those. If there's enough time tomorrow, I'll talk about both of them. And then if not, we'll at least briefly discuss it. So intermittent fasting can help reverse it. I don't know that answer, but my immediate thought would be that yes, it could. So let me go do some research and see how directly intermittent fasting and getting your insulin under control could help with vitiligo. And we'll talk about that tomorrow again. Dee Dee, thanks for the question. You fast being diabetic? Absolutely you can. So hold on though. Hold on. Katrina, I need to understand, are you type 2 diabetic or type 1? And either way, both types can fast because there's a big difference here. Type 1 diabetics, their pancreas cannot produce insulin. They have to have some insulin injected or a pump so that they can actually deal with food when they eat it. That insulin, remember, as our blood sugars rise, insulin is the messenger that's taking that energy to the cells. But guess what? With a type 1 diabetic, even if you have an insulin pump, if you're having that pump put out insulin too much, too often, it's the same thing as a type 2 diabetic whose pancreas is creating too much insulin all the time. Now, type 1 and type 2 can both have problems from this disorder. Both type 1 and type 2 can absolutely get better. Type 1 by reducing the need for insulin, and the reduced need for insulin creates this system in the body where the body's more responsive to it. But can type 1 diabetics actually be insulin resistant? Yes. Can both of them fast? Absolutely. Absolutely. You just might have to start with a shorter fasting window and lengthen it out as your body gets used to it. Because again, your body is not used to, most of us is not used to anything but sugar for energy. And we've got to get it used to being able to use fat for fuel. But both types can be both types of diabetic can fast. And if you have questions or concerns, find a physician who's very well versed on fasting and have them help you. Better yet, I don't know if I have her book because you guys have been packing to get ready to leave. Here it is. And I have I have all of these books laying around. But one book, Dr. Fung, Fung, has written a book on fasting. So there's this one called The Fasting Lane. This would be a great book to read on fasting. If you're a woman and you have a number of issues, Fast Like a Girl, Mindy Pels, and I can drop these in the comments later, or if you just want to message me, ask me, and I'll send you the names of these books. Fast Like a Girl helps you understand how to fast with your cycle. Okay, so when you should be fasting, at what length, and all of that. Mindy Pels has done a lot of work on fasting and metabolism, and so that's a great book or a great resource for you guys to have if you're really interested in the fasting and have deeper questions. Okay, so now we talked about how it's helping. We're started to talk about the cellular repair process. So what's happening, and I do have notes, guys, I'm going to be honest. So it's triggers cellular repair response primarily through a mechanism known as autophagy. So we're not really getting into autophagy until that 14, 16-hour phase. This is why the 16-hour fast is working so well. OMAD, by the way, they feel like you're not getting in enough nutrients is the biggest holdback with OMAD, or one meal a day. But at a 36 and 12 fast, which we'll talk about in another live, you are fully in autophagy utilizing this cellular repair process. So start aiming towards a 16-8, and then if you can, every once in a while, throw in a 36-12, maybe once a month, to allow you to really get deep into this phase called autophagy, where your cells are turning over and repairing themselves, and you'll find much better health. Now, again, 36 hours fasted, people are going to like lose their minds right now saying there's no way I could do that. You guys, I've gone through a 10-day fast using these two products that I'm going to talk about and been fine. Somebody who was so food addicted that I thought I couldn't go 12 hours without eating, I've gone 10 days without eating to help the cellular repair process in my body that's gone through a lot of damage get better. And it's worked. So we're talking now about 16-8 fast. Um, so in autophagy, this process that your cells are degrading and they're getting recycled into components that help us with that energy, but it's removing some of this damage from the cells when we fast, and it's crucial for maintaining cellular function. We are not meant to eat all the time. Can you drink coffee on a 16-8 or 36? Absolutely, black coffee you can have. But I'm going to show you something better in just a minute. Okay, Kimmy? So yes, you can have coffee. Just don't add creamers and sugars and stuff to it. I wouldn't even add stevia or very lightly, because if you're just replacing the sweet with something like stevia, let's pause for a second. Stevia is a great sugar alternative. Does not spike your insulin, but what excess stevia, this really sweetness that we have, it still cues a process in the brain that thinks we're having sugar, and it's going to start increasing insulin at some point because it's sensing that, or it's going to increase your hunger for more sugar. So we want to keep that sweet at a level that's manageable. So yeah, coffee, a little bit of stevia, great. Not too much, and not any of the creamers that are out there. They're high-end seed oils. Did you guys know that those creamers that you're putting in your coffee are sugar and seed oils? Two of the worst inflammatory things that you could have for insulin resistance are in the creamer you're putting in your coffee. Why do it? Don't do it. Okay. So now, improved. Oh, by the way, this autophagy can help prevent things like cancer, neurodegenerative orders, including neurodegenerative brain function problems like Alzheimer's, get better with intermittent fasting. Do you know someone in your life that's maybe you think is like, oh, because that they may be headed for Alzheimer's. My kids knew. I couldn't see it because I'm living in this body and I'm in denial about everything. I didn't realize that I was headed for Alzheimer's, but my kids could see the clues. Fun fact, if you're having problems parking straight, that's one of the first clues that you're headed for Alzheimer's. Organic cream. So if you're putting organic cream in your coffee, Kimmy, that's a much better solution. Only about a tablespoon of that organic cream because that cream still has carbohydrates in it. So you want full fat organic cream, not reduced fat. No, get rid of the reduced fat out of your life. Okay. We want fat, but about a tablespoon of that cream in the fasting state um, should not affect your fast. You can do that in your coffee. Absolutely. You could also do it in the tea. And you guys, I haven't done that. As it's becoming more time for fall, I'll be drinking more of the lemon ginger. And you know what? It's an interesting thought. What if I put a little bit of cream in my coffee in the wintertime? I'm gonna try it. That's a great realization this morning, Kimmy. Okay, so but besides the cellular repair, fast feet, fast feast repeat. Man, I have so many fasting books, it's just unreal. Okay, now improved gene expression. Okay, so we have cells that are repairing amazing stuff, right? Gene expression. So fasting allows genes associated with longevity and stress resistance to upregulate. So lengthening life, decreasing stress by fasting. Gene expression is changed, and now, yeah, you have less anxiety and less stress. Yeah, your brain is functioning better, right? So all of these things are happening with this fasting. The gene expression also helps you start to repair DNA. Now, a lot of us are having problems unwittingly with our DNA, and we don't even realize it because our DNA is being overwhelmed by all of this sugar and the inflammation and oxidation that's going on in the presence of that. Start to remove that, and our DNA can start to repair, and we can start to have healthier skin, healthier memory, healthier bodies overall. Metabolic X treated also with 36 or 18, 16, 8. Yes. Um, so if you're interested in the 36-12 fast, maybe I'll do a talk on that later this week or next week. But in the beginning, I would just do 1 day a month, and then you can transition to 1 day a week. And then, like, I will be doing it every day for 30 days next month. With my heart weakened, I really want to continue to strengthen my heart, get rid of inflammation and toxins. You guys, I'm starting to post stories, and in those stories, I'm going to show you some of my real life so you get a clue what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean you have to. I'm just showing you what I do. But I'm really concerned with my heart right now. So I'm going to take some extra steps, like drinking more water, watching some of the excessive sodium content that we don't need, and just making sure that it is in the foods that I do need, yada, yada, yada. So fasting is going to help strengthen up my heart, fasting and some exercise. So I'm going to lean into some longer fasts and as a um, therapy for this heart that needs strengthened up. Okay, so um, all right, so human growth hormone. Human growth hormone plays a crucial role in our metabolism, our muscle growth, and overall body composition. It's the thing that's going out and telling our bodies to preserve muscle and burn fat. So, human growth hormone is helping our muscle and helping us lose the fat, but we can't access human growth hormone when insulin levels are high. We've got to get insulin down. Now, when that about hour, what was it, hour 12, when human growth hormone starts coming out, we're starting to preserve the muscle, focus on the fat, and we're doing a great job of cleaning up. So, I'm going to show you how we can further that human growth hormone in just a minute with not just the fasting, but the two tools that I use. So there's a lot of benefits, and those are just some of the benefits of fasting. You guys, body wide, just understand that fasting is body wide, helping reduce inflammation, helping reduce oxidative stress, helping you turn over cells in a more healthy manner. So you're getting rid of toxic cells. And by the way, this autophagy state, when we're burning up those cells, some of those cells could be cells that are leaning towards cancer if they're sitting around inflamed and toxic for too long. So, by cleaning up those cells, you can affect the rate at which you have a possibility of finding any type of cancer internally. I'm not talking about skin cancer from sun. Intermittent fasting is not going to help you with that as much, right? But if you're talking about like colon cancer and some of these others, it can help reduce the risk of that by helping you turn over the cells that got to go. Okay. So intermittent fasting, heart, liver, kidneys, skin, and cancer now. So yeah, why wouldn't you want to do it? Except for that people are always afraid that they can't because of all the food noise, and they're worried that they just can't make it. So now we're going to dive into what is helping people with that fasting that's actually not a medication, and it's helping you get healthier. So this is where we're going to turn to the system that I've been using, the system that Ben used, that Grateful is using, that a number of people who have dropped in have been using. And so it's a tea that I have every morning. You guys have been seeing me sip on it all morning. It tastes like a lemon iced tea, and it's in this packet. All I do is tear the top off and pour it in water, and I'm good to go. So I have that tea in the morning, and I have it again in the afternoon, and here's why. With intermittent fasting, that tea is actually helping me because it's a highly concentrated form of yerba mate tea. The high concentration really amplifies the effects of the tea that everyone had been so excited about. So now with our tea, it's highly concentrated, meaning the chlorogenic acids, one of the main components in here that's doing magic for fasting, for cellular turnover, for HGH, for ketones, it's 375 times higher than in a standard bagged tea. Okay. That's important because if you really want those effects and you really want to address them naturally, getting a form like this is important. Now, what's happening is this is giving me some satiety. It's shutting down that food noise. It's part of the reason why I'm not hungry this morning. Part of the other reason is I've been doing intermittent fasting long enough that my body just goes, hey, this is how we live. This is what we do. And my body loves it. I train fasted. I do so much fasted. And it actually, I have more mental clarity when I'm in a fasted state. And the English, they're pleased. So yeah, grateful. We have a huge team starting to grow over in the UK, and they're you guys have a different system than us, but I mean a system as in far as healthcare, right? Not as in this system. This system is the same in the UK. But we are available in 62 countries throughout the world, and that means that the equivalent of the US's FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has approved this system in over 62 countries throughout the world, and we're working on more and more countries. So if we're not available in your country yet, we probably will be within the next while. We started out 3 years ago, available only in about 20 countries. And over the couple of years that I've been doing this, we have worked to get this as a system available in over 60 countries. So yeah, UK, I have customers in Australia, New Zealand, in the Pacific Rim, in the UK, in France, in Ireland, in UAE and South Africa, and then Jamaica. I have customers all over the world. Now we have manufacturing facilities all over the world and warehouse facilities all over the world. So you're not waiting for it to come from the US. There is a facility near you for it to ship from. Our guarantee is that you get it within 10 business days. Okay. And we really hold to that. Most people get it in 3 to 5, but up to 10 business days is all it takes. And it's generally coming from a facility near you. Okay. In the US, we have Vegas and we have Atlanta. So it's going to come from one of those two places. So, yeah, I'm so excited because this, you guys, is getting people off of medications. Fasting and the system are helping people get healthier than they ever thought possible in a real way without relying on medications that, to be honest, most medications, they continue to increase your dose as your body gets desensitized to the medication. So now you're increasing the dose of medication, that's increasing the other problems that it causes. And instead of all of that, we're doing a tea and a pre-meal drink that's actually giving us nutrition that we has been stripped out of our food and allowing our body to do its job naturally. And that's golden for me, right? That's how I want to be. And that's how I got off of 13 medications. So, but the tea, it's giving me satiety, it's increasing HGH, it's increasing ketones, and it also helps with insulin sensitivity. So when we're drinking this, there's a whole lot going on. You're not hungry during the fasted state. You're increasing those things. You're increasing the sensitivity to insulin, meaning that insulin can now start getting into the cells more normally. And that's exactly what we want to do, right? To help start reversing insulin resistance. This tea helps with all of that. So um, the other thing is this. I drink this in a fasted state too. So I'll just do it right now because I'm fasted, not worried about breaking my fast. This actually helps push more ketones in my body. When I drink this and my microbiome, the good gut health, by the way, there's two sides of the microbiome, just like there's two sides of anything. We have what we call the positive microbiome and we have what we call the negative microbiome. So I got to switch hands because this is always my sugar hand. So the negative microbiome is feeding on sugar. The more sugar we eat, the more we're proliferating that microbiome that's causing us to have inflammation and illness in our gut. So what we want to do is feed the good microbiome, and that's going to feed off of things like the soluble fibers in this packet. And that soluble fiber feeding those organelles or those microbiome, then it creates this, what I'm going to call it off gassing, not a perfect term, but the result of them eating on that, their exhaust is short chain fatty acids. Short chain fatty acids are cueing the body to burn fat for fuel and cueing the production of more ketones. So when I drink this in a fasted state, I've tested myself multiple times and I've actually talked to Dr. Bickman about it, and now they're talking about it more. The look on his face when I first talked to him about this was like, you did what? But when I drink this in a fasted state, my ketones go up, which means I'm starting to experience more of the great benefits of fasting. So I just poured it in water, shook it up. I got to drink it. It's going to get thick. Now, I'm probably not going to eat for 3 to 4 hours. Do I care? No. This helps with the nausea I feel from my heart. That's a common symptom with women with heart problems. It helps with that nausea, shutting down even sometimes, you guys, what we need to understand is our hunger doesn't just come from cellular energy needs. We have all these cues in our gut, an acidic gut, all this stuff that we start to think, oh, I got to eat because my stomach is acidic. I got to eat because I'm having this pain in my stomach. I got to eat because that shuts down all of that. Good morning, Jason. So the balance shuts that down. Now, what's happening as I drank that balance, and I gave some to a lovely lady who was at my house the other day, and immediately she said, because she's very self-aware, she said she could start to feel the difference in her gut. Her hunger was already starting to go away. She could feel that it was like starting to fill up in her stomach, starting to coat her stomach. Some people really can do that if you're self-aware and know what's going on in your body. And she was blown away because she's done other fiber supplements and never had that feeling before. So the soluble fibers in this are important. This is an insoluble fiber. It's not going to give you that short chain fatty acid production like this will with the soluble fibers that soak up water. There's a number of things that does too. But between these two products, now I have a system that's feeding me health, giving me nutrients, giving me vitamins and minerals, increasing brain activity, increasing good gut microbiome, increasing the satiety, all of that, and it's helping me fast every day. Now, Jason is also on the system, and he's lost about 190 pounds in around 2 years on the system. Now, Jason was a person who was so diabetic. His A1C was well over 13. He was extremely obese. He was suffering. He was crabby. He was in pain. He just wasn't loving life. Doctors were trying to put him on medications. He was like, no, I'm not doing it. Doctors wanted him to have gastric bypass surgery. He was like, no, I'm not doing it. Doctors were like, you got to do something. And he's actually had doctors want to just punch him in the face because he's so stubborn but lovely at the same time. He started the system. He's lost weight. He's reduced his A1C, his mental clarity, his anxiety is better. So this is what he says. The system simply works. I deleted diabetes, fixed his blood pressure and a whole host of lost a whole human being. So yeah, 190 pounds. I haven't thought of it. You crack me up, Jason. But he's lost the equivalent of a whole second human being off of his body. Now, I remember when I first started this journey and I lost my 55 pounds, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And one of the first realizations I had, I was traveling a lot at the time. I just took a break this last year because I'm like, whew, I'm done. I want to spend time with my family. But as I'm packing that suitcase, and we can't have more than 50 pounds in that suitcase or they want to charge us more. So I'm lifting that suitcase onto a scale to check every trip I'm going, make sure that I don't have it overpacked. And I started realizing that suitcase was pretty damn heavy for 50 pounds. And that's exactly what my body was carrying around every day. My joints were deteriorating. I was in pain. I was suffering every day. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I was carrying around 50 pounds, the equivalent of that large suitcase, every single day. My joints were screaming. My body was screaming. And it's so freeing to have that weight off. But Jason has lost 190 pounds. I'm feeling free at 50 pounds. And Jason's lost 190 pounds. He didn't do any medications, just the system I'm talking about. So you guys, if you want to know more about the system, like go to because my phone is dying and I don't have my cord here. I just looked around and panicked like, oh shoot. But go to my profile link, use that. I'll put the link in over here on Facebook and YouTube. Look, this fiber that I'm drinking or that I just drank, look, my stomach that was starting to feel really acidic and yucky from this weird nausea that stems from the heart being weakened. That's already starting to go away for me. I just drank that, 5 minutes ago, and it's already calming down that pain in my stomach. Now, I don't have Tums. I don't have any of that in my system or in my house. I do have some NSAIDs for rescue, but I rarely ever take them anymore. So that is another great benefit for me between fasting, fiber, and the system is that I was on Hydros, Norcos, gabapentin, and then I would cycle in NSAIDs, just over-the-counter NSAIDs, to deal with my pain every day. The toll that took on my stomach lining and my liver is indescribable. Don't want to be on NSAIDs, people. You just don't. But because of the system, because of reducing inflammation, reducing insulin resistance, allowing my nerves to function properly, my pain levels have gone down so that I don't know when the last time I had the NSAIDs that are sitting in my kitchen cabinet. I don't remember the last time I've had them for joint pain, for muscle pain, for migraines, for any of it. I just don't take them. They're there for rescue, but I don't take them. So I went from having, my pain was so bad I would take a minimum of 4 of them, and it was probably every 4 to 6 hours, and I was likely overdosing. No, not help. I wasn't overdosing. I was overdosing on NSAIDs because my pain levels were so bad, and that's not my reality now. I drink the 2 drinks, and that's it. I don't even have those pain meds going on anymore. So I know I've had people, because you guys have had like 20 broken bones. I've had ligament issues. I've had 3 joint replacements. I've had whatever. So my body was riddled with pain. It's a whole different situation than most people, but it's not that way now. I don't live on pain meds anymore. And all I did was intermittent fasting the system and get my insulin resistance under control. Jason says I was able to go from taking 13 pills a day to none. Jason, I was very similar. I had 13 medications, including those pain medications, statin drugs, and drugs for my heart health, and drugs for my thyroid, and drugs for, like, God only knows what all they had me on at the time. I was just in such a fog of wanting to feel better that I don't even remember all of those medications. I just remember looking at my counter and seeing this lineup of medications that I had to take in a day. And I was like, how did I get here? This is not my life. This is not how I wanted to live. And it's not how I'm living now. So it's not just working for me, but it's working for Jason. It's working for, I see Cesar on here. Cesar is doing the system. Amazing man, by the way. Go follow him. Steph is on the system. Steph Koch, 1111. She was live earlier. I don't know if she still is. But you guys, we're all doing the same thing, and we're all addressing our health. We're all helping people get better by understanding insulin resistance. So, look, if you understand this, and thank you guys for being such an amazing crowd this morning. I'm going to hop off, but go to my profile link, check out the link there. If you tap on my picture up here, a white box is going to come up below, or from any video I put out, tap on the picture to the right and it'll take you to my profile. In my profile, there's red lights. On Facebook, YouTube, it's not that way, so I'll send you a link. But under the red lights is a link. When you tap on the link, you're going to see a place where you can order the protocol I use. You can go to my website and read more about it and me. You can contact me via WhatsApp, so I don't care where you're at in the world. I talked to someone in Romania the other day about the system and her health issues, and it's easy on WhatsApp. You guys just have to download it, and then we can talk free across the world. And I'm more than happy to hop on and have those conversations, because your health is what matters to me. I don't want you suffering like I did. I don't want anybody to suffer like I did. And so I get really impassioned about this because it's really done so much for me. I was having a conversation with my kids this weekend, and my daughter, we were talking about CICO, calories in, calories out. We were having our heated discussion about that. And my daughter-in-law said, so what's the answer besides the Feel Great system, Mom? And I'm like, it's not just the Feel Great system. It's addressing insulin resistance. It just happens to be that the Feel Great system, these 2 drinks that I have, you'll find it in my profile, actually did something for me when the medications and all the doctors were not able to. So am I impassioned about it? Yes, because after years of seeing doctors and being cycled through medications and not getting better, I did this and actually got better and basically restarted my health. And people like Jason are experiencing the same thing. Cesar, Grateful, Crafty, the number of the people who have hopped in here. So you guys just give it a try. Now, one thing here is I want to mention this. If you're ready to order, there's something we can't skip. So you get a 90-day money-back guarantee, which means that you try this for 90 days. You allow your body to see the benefits, to see what can happen when you start to get this under control. And if at the end of those 90 days, you don't feel like you have better energy, you don't feel like you're getting the results you wanted, your A1C isn't down, your lipids aren't down, you just call the company and say, hey, this didn't work for me, and you get your money back. Now, does your doctor give you that? When you go see your doctor and they give you a therapy, 3 months from now, if that therapy is not working, do they say, okay, I'm going to give you your money back on this visit? Do they say, I'm going to give you Ozempic or Mounjaro or any statin drug and say, if it doesn't work in 3 months, I'm going to give you your money back? No, not one of them does that. Yet the system, which is real food products, not a medication, but so much science behind it that it's in the prescriber's digital reference here in the US, and we're allowed to be in over 60 countries across the world, giving a more natural solution to all of that. We have that guarantee. So, but you only get it when you order through someone authorized. So don't go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart, because you're going to pay more. You're not going to get the guarantees and you're not going to get the coaching. Make sure that you're getting it from the company by using a link like mine that takes you directly to the company to order it. And then you're going to get text from me. You're going to get communication from me. If you need me, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Some people are very much like, I never call people. Like, just honestly, I grew up with a system that said I had to do it all by myself. And so that's just how I grew up. And I rarely reach out for help. And I'm learning that. But if you need help, I'm here for you. But if you don't need help and you're more like me, that's fine too. Okay. But just make sure you're getting the real product from a real person that can help you along the way if you have questions. And We'll come back tomorrow. Now I wrote them down. So I had questions about vitiligo and phantom smells. So I'm going to do some research on that. We're going to talk about those things tomorrow. And then I would love to go over the 36-12 fast later this week and explain the benefits of that. In 2 weeks, I'm going to start that 36-12 fast. And if anyone wants to join me, then let me know, because I'd love to have a supportive group of people. You guys, one of the other things I want you to understand with this is when you have support, you are more successful than when you're trying to do it alone. Okay. So utilize me for support. If you order from me, just utilize me for support. Tell me the good stuff. Tell me the hard stuff. Let me know where you need help. Let me celebrate with you when you're doing great. That's going to help you be more successful. And that's what I'm here for. So, all right, let me see. I don't know if Steph has a lot going on today. I was really hoping to hop live with her, but I don't see her on anymore. So, um, we'll catch her another morning. And in the meantime, you guys have an amazing day. I hope this information was helpful. Do not skip the intermittent fasting, you guys. It's so good for you. And I don't believe that there are very many people in the world who cannot benefit from intermittent fasting. There may be some random things out there that might not be for you, but that's very rare. The rest of us, I want to recap. Intermittent fasting is going to help with your heart health. It's going to help with your liver health. It's going to help with your skin health. It's going to help with removing inflammation and oxidation. It's going to help with cellular turnover and gene expression, including your DNA. Why would you skip something that's free that you can do, you have total control over, that's going to give you that much health? We all should be doing some kind of intermittent fasting, and that's my belief. And I've seen it work for so many people, but the problem is we just don't know how to get there. And the system that's actually building health also helps with intermittent fasting by keeping our energy levels up, by keeping us feeling satiated, by allowing the production of ketones and HGH and all of the good stuff that we talked about this morning. So don't skip it. Get your health back and start feeling better than you have in years. Just simply, no crazy diets, no pills, no meal replacement plans, no medications, just real healthy food and nutrients going into your body to help you function like you're meant to. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about vitiligo and phantom smells and if they're related, or if fasting can help. Guys, thanks for your input, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.